A kennel? No. Where's Eric? Eric?
Yes, dear.
Hi, Trish. Hi, Kathleen. We ready?
How are you?
It's entirely respectable.
Yeah.
I respect that. You know what I mean? My kids are vaccinated, but honestly, all three of their choices.
Exactly. No, that's the same. Yeah.
Where are they? I don't even see their. Where are the architects doing their? Exactly.
Yeah.
Discussion. Okay. So, are we ready?
Yeah, just so you know, everything is nice.
Yes. Tell Joe.
It's camo day. It's orange, so it's camo. Yeah, I was literally
They don't have
Look
lunch.
at you. I'm so excited.
Wait, what are we excited for
I
you?
agree.
Oh my god!
It's so exciting.
Oh my gosh!
How are you?
Got good outfits today.
Eric, you ready? Paul, ready? Go.
Yeah. This is now the season, right? I mean, you
look thinner, man.
No, he's
You lost weight, right?
a lot.
How much? Boy, Joe, what'd you do?
He's excited.
Good. You're a hiker, right? It's good stuff.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Marlboro Township Board of Education meeting, November 16th, 2021. Vin? Oh,
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Vin.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Amster?
Here.
Mrs. Branch?
Here.
Mr. Furland?
your microphones are off. You just have to turn them on.
Yes, so there's a switch on these microphones. You just have to turn them on and off.
All right, I'm here.
Okay. You're so smart.
Dr. Heller? Mr. Shiprinson? Mrs. Shrem?
Here.
Mrs. Salachi?
Here.
Mrs. Strafasi?
Here.
And Mrs. Wolf?
Yes, thank you. Sunshine Law. Please be advised that this meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, Sunshine Law, and that adequate notice of the date, time, and agenda has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the news transcript and has been posted and filed with the Marlboro Township Clerk. Copies have also been sent to each district school and other area newspapers in accordance with the law. I'm not going to read in full, but I will bring your attention to statement of videotaping a public portion of Board of Education meetings, public comment statements, and no smoking on school grounds. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Student impact.
Thank you, Mrs. Wolf. Student impact for this month, the month of November, Marlboro celebrating the character pillar of citizenship. At Robertsville Elementary School to promote SEL and the acquisition of the trait of citizenship, teachers across all grade levels are participating in a Super Citizen Superhero project with their homeroom classes. Students began by learning about individual superhero character qualities and then considered which superhero character trait most resonated with them. In our usual fashion, we do have a video prepared. So Brian, if you wouldn't mind playing that video.
Every month, Marlboro Township Public Schools highlights a character pillar of the month as a way to encourage students' social emotional growth and work towards developing the core social emotional learning competencies of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. This November, Marlboro is celebrating the character pillar of citizenship. At Robertsville Elementary School, to promote SEL and the acquisition of the trait of citizenship, teachers across all grade levels are participating in a Super Citizen Superhero project with their homeroom classes. Students will be encouraged to think about the guiding question: How do we contribute to our school and our global community and to embrace their inner superhero qualities? Students will begin by learning about individual superhero character qualities and then consider which superhero character trait most resonates with them.
Our superhero is important because he's responsible, powerful, and he helps lots of people when something's wrong. My superhero is very helpful.
Through teamwork and collaboration and some digital skills, students will work together to create a super citizen superhero for their class. Each student's superhero trait, aligned with each homeroom's super citizen superhero creation, will be shared on the morning news to highlight how our Marlboro students truly make the Marlboro school community a better place to be. The activities will then culminate with a building-wide "We are thankful for all our Robertsville Super Citizens Superhero Day," where students will be encouraged to dress up as their favorite superhero.
Superheroes always come out with good ideas to beat the bad guys.
Our superhero is super hardworking. She always works to meet her goals and saves people's lives. Really unstoppable, and she never gives up when she tries something.
She inspires people to never give up and that you can do anything.
Super kind, because if someone's alone, you could include them.
Our superhero is super confident. She is strong and brave. She also is brave about her decisions. She's powerful, one with her own beliefs. She has the heart of a wolf.
My superhero is very thoughtful. She was always thinking about how others are feeling, and she was super kind.
Thank you to all of our Robertsville teachers who participate in our monthly SEL Planning Committee meetings and that take their time out of their busy schedules to brainstorm ways to best support student engagement and learning in and out of the classroom.
Great job, Robertsville, and thanks for sharing that, Michael. Okay. School bus driver and building maintenance.
Sure. All abstracts were run and all have privileges in good standing.
Great. Announcements?
No, ma'am.
Great. Then we're going to move on to the HVAC discussion. We have our architects here.
Sure. So we invited our architect and engineer that will be spearheading the AC project to just give a little overview on what to expect, what the next steps are, and how the process is going to work moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Caravello. Board members, my name is Mike Milliman with Tokarski Milliman Architects. We're located in Wall, New Jersey. I have with me Jim Sarno. He's with KSI Consulting Engineers out of Farmingdale. And in September, we visited the 5 elementary schools for the purposes of reviewing and quantifying the need for air conditioning in the classrooms. After that task, we sat down and reviewed the schools, the individual requirements for each of the schools and the costs. And after that meeting, we kind of were instructed to put together a proposal for the services to go to the next step, which would be submit an application to the Department of Education, and then also do the detailed construction bidding documents for the project. Jim, and stop me at any point with any questions. Jim can talk a little bit about the strategy for the air conditioning for the implementation into the classrooms, and then also the system that we would recommend.
At both of the schools, the plan is to leave the existing systems in place that are there. They provide heating and ventilation. They're not ready to come out yet. They still have life left in them, so we're going to leave them in. What we're going to put in is called a VRF, or Variable Refrigerant Flow System. It's basically a heat pump that can heat and cool. We're mainly going to use it for the heating component, the cooling components. The units will sit on the corridor wall, generally 2 units per classroom, to throw the airflow across the room to get the proper airflow through the room. And the existing equipment that's in the room will still provide the ventilation that is required by code. That's pretty much it. The outside units will be placed either in a combination of on the roof or on the ground, depending on what school we're at.
You mentioned that the heating system is still good and it has life left, but this unit has both the air and the heating.
Correct.
When there's no more life left with the heating, could this then work for the heating so that it's already set up and ready to go?
The way the heating systems are set up now, they bring in the ventilation. So no, this system that we're putting in don't bring ventilation in. We can use it in it's what's called the shoulder seasons, like the spring and the fall before the boilers come on, so you can get heat out of it if needed.
But only in the shoulder seasons, not in the
It's not
in the
sized
winter.
for full load to
Okay.
carry the entire
Okay.
to carry the entire room.
Okay.
What is the lifespan of one of these units?
About 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Can you just say what schools we're going to be starting with?
Sure. Defino and Dugan.
Defino
elementary
and
schools.
Dugan, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike, thank you, Jim. Does the board have any more questions for them before they?
I
How
guess-
long will the project take?
Oh, there you go.
Sorry, Susie.
Yeah, we're looking to finish the documents up as soon as we can, so it'll be the first part of the year. We'd like to get the documents on the street no later than late January, just so we can get good bid numbers back.
So you get five bids, thank you.
And so you said Defino and Dugan, that would be this summer, correct? Will be finished? The goal is to have it finished. So for the school year 22-23, Defino and Dugan will have AC, and then the following summer you'll start with the next school?
Yeah, so Susie, so the plan is to start with, make Defino the base bid and make Dugan the option because of the unforeseen costs that may come in, and it may be too high for what we can include in the budget, so we may not be able to do two right away. But to be aggressive enough to go out to bid, we're definitely going to do one. If we can squeeze in two, as we discussed in the B&G committee meeting, we will. That's why we're naming it an option. And we basically pick the schools based off of budgetary needs. So when the estimates came in, the two lowest schools to start now are Defino and Dugan, and are also our two biggest elementary schools. So really try to sandwich those two and get them out of the way. Robertsville was definitely off the table because we are doing the roof this summer, so you can conflict and do two projects at the same time. So the earlier we get out to bid, the better, the more competitive the pricing will be and the more favorable it will be for the district. So on the agenda tonight is to approve their services to go forward and to put together the bid documents and so we can submit to the DOE for approval and go out to advertise. This way we can get it awarded sometime in the winter.
Great, thanks.
I have one question too. So the lifespan of the units is 20 years. So if we're doing it the way we're talking about doing it, we're going to do a school or two, X amount of units every year. So we look to 20 years. We have to then budget to replace the units, right? What kind of maintenance happens over the course of those 20 years?
There is prescribed maintenance for each of the units in seasonal and in interval. In other words, like every spring you should do certain things, every summer you should do certain things. Typically they are 20 years, but the thing to remember, we're not using them 365 days a year. So there are going to be portions of the year where they won't be used, which technically could extend their lifespan. So a typical unit is 20 years continuously used. Most likely you're going to get more time out of it.
And our personnel in-house has a maintenance schedule that they follow for like the units in the middle schools and Abbott that we service them periodically.
Thank you. So the maintenance of these units, we're going to anticipate as having that incorporated into their schedule. So
Correct.
It's going to be something that we can do within the power that we already have. We're not going to have
Right.
to add.
We have two HVAC specialists in-house on staff that take care of all of our HVAC needs, and that's filtering, that's repairs. Just try to limit the cost from having to bring someone outside all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming out.
Thank
Very
you.
exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vin, and the B&G committee for all your work on this. Good, everyone good? Great. All right, we're going to move on to our discussion of the lack of substitutes.
Ben, you want to start?
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. So, at the start of school, we started to see that there were more and more subs that were not available to cover the classrooms. We're noticing that we're picking up we're paying out a lot more teacher preps. So that is basically a teacher that misses their prep. They're allowed to be compensated with it according to their contract. So what's happening is they're missing their preps to cover classrooms because we don't have enough subs floating around to cover these classrooms every day. This is starting to build up quite an expense. So what we're doing is, Mr. Apollon and I were actually reviewing certain services out there to try and expedite the process of expanding our sub pool. So right now our sub pool is about 150 subs. Maybe half of them are actually active. So what we're doing is we're looking into services that are present in Monmouth County right now to expand that sub pool. There's one service that we've been in contact with that has over 900 subs within Monmouth County. So we're thinking that's the best approach to do. We started talking to these companies just to see, what they can offer, how much they would actually charge the district to partner with them as far as the service, and what is their success rate as far as filling vacancies, and how aggressive are they to try to attract new substitutes for us as well. I think the conversations were overall positive, so we wanted to bring it to the board as a discussion of, we recommend that going with a service and approving it at the next meeting is the way to go to possibly address this situation of being short subs. And also we would be looking to revisit our rates, because they will go by hour rate. So if other Monmouth County districts are higher than Marlboro, there's the incentive for substitutes will still be to take the other job rather than hours due to the rate. So we are looking at both of those things right now.
Vin, can you get us a comparison from all the Monmouth County?
Yeah,
See where we are?
we've been working on that to update it and to bring it to the board on what the numbers are and what the county average is, and what we can afford to include as far as an increase.
Great. Jen?
I was wondering, so the subs that we have now, do they have to go into that service then? So they'll have to apply into that service instead of us using them?
They would. So they'll actually be the incentives they are offered benefits. There are sign-on incentives on signing up for this company as well. It basically is an outsourced service, but you're not outsourcing the staff. They're basically staying, as substitutes, just under a different umbrella. They won't be under the Marlboro School District anymore.
And if we raise the rates, it'll be a higher rate for them as well.
Okay.
And right now, Paul, it's about $95, correct?
Correct.
So we're definitely below where others are. So that rate will definitely have to be addressed in this discussion, because if you can make more in a different place, that's an incentive to go other places. And sorry, if you can make more in other districts significantly, it's a reason to go sub in other districts. If you make $20 more a day and you sub 5 days a week, it's real money for people. So we're gonna have to look at that piece of it as well.
In addition, we will help our current subs transition into everything, so to make sure.
Yeah, is there a contract that you have to sign a contract with this company, and how long is the length of the contract if you do?
I'm sorry, Kathleen, I can't hear you. I'm so
How
sorry.
long is the length of a contract you have to sign with this said company? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 5 years?
It's usually the standard contract agreement of 12 months. So basically it would go to June 30th. And if we feel like there's always an opt-out clause and a termination clause that if we wanted to cancel early, we can. They are going to try to have to guarantee us, a success rate that they're going to promise us, especially in the pitch that they're making to the district. So we would revisit it as of June 30th. If we feel it's not working, then we can always, cancel it and then renew with a different professional service, or try to do it in-house again.
So that's like what our subs are doing. Anyway, we have to, as subs, we have to say, yes, we're going to be subs for Marlboro. Anyway, right.
And Paul, can you talk for a sec about the concept of our fail to fills that we're seeing, and then also, to that piece as well, right? They will work with Frontline, correct?
Yes, they will still work with Frontline. So I had a chance to run a report and to see all of our substitute assignment from September all the way till today. What we noticed is about 1/3 of these substitute assignment all left and failed. So that's been very alarming for us, and this is the reason why.
And that's where the teachers come in, covering it with their missed preps.
Yeah.
And that can add up very quickly. If, average a teacher makes $40, $50 a missed prep. If they're doing it all week, it's more than almost the daily rate.
Yeah. So for everybody out there, in case you didn't catch what that discussion was, when we have a fail to fill, we'll offer that internally to teachers to voluntarily give up their prep, because teachers have to volunteer, or staff have to volunteer for that. And it comes down to their hourly rate, right, Vin? Mm-hmm. So if they're hourly, let's just call it $50 as an hourly rate, and there's 8 periods in a day, you're paying essentially $400 that day for that sub, when we should be paying nowhere near that. But because staffing is tight, that's what we have to do.
And I believe this is happening all around, across
All
New
over.
Jersey. I
Yeah.
mean, you read in the newspapers,
Yeah,
everywhere,
definitely.
every district.
Have we, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jen.
So part of what's gonna happen is we're gonna have to raise our rates. And we're gonna have to pay a fee to this company in addition. So if we raise our rates to be competitive, do we really need to outsource and pay someone? I mean, if we raised our rate to be the most, or competitive with what is happening in Monmouth County, because apparently we're not, based on what we're saying.
No, we're lower.
Okay,
So-
so if we just did that, do we really need to outsource?
So I was hearing, because, you know, just like personally, I was experiencing it with one of my kids who did have, you know, they couldn't fill, and day after day, and they were having, you know, people come in and help take over the classroom here and there. I was hearing that not only and Vin can talk to this, but not only do we have like limited subs and not able to fill, but then the rate in other districts close to us, and I think it's important to get the information that Robin just asked for, but the rates are more than half, like, if our rate is 95, other districts close to us are paying 150. So we would really have to raise our rates to be the top or the most competitive. But I think this is definitely something that I think we have a big hole, and we need to figure out how to fill this.
I also think it, like Vin said, it increases the pool.
Yes.
Right,
It
the
is.
biggest incentive here is you're gonna have access now to over 900 substitutes that are already, certified to work in New Jersey and are located in Monmouth County. You do not have to raise the rates, or sometimes you could do it in-house and raise the rates, like your option, or you could just go with the service and not raise the rates, and hopefully that that expanded pool will actually come and just take the jobs because they're looking for work.
I guess that's what I'm thinking, right? If we raised our rates and we were then
But we
on
might-
par.
We
like-
might, sorry, Tricia.
No.
We might run into the same problem where we might expand the pool, but if our rate's still lower than the other district, they're going to say, I'll just work for the other district and not claim a Marlboro job because their rates are so low, because they're using every district's rates. They go by your rates.
No,
So
I understand. I'm saying is if the going rate's 150, right? But we're gonna have a service, so we're gonna pay 20% higher to the service for each thing, then, like, why don't we just pay 150 or 155 and become the most competitive? And then that way, like, I don't know, if we were paying more, then wouldn't the substitutes wanna come to us? I mean, the only other thing that makes it to me more attractive to go to that service, if I was a sub, is to get health care.
That's huge.
I have a question. Does the service pay the same amount? If the service is working for us and working for another district, is it the exact same across the board, or do we still have to make sure we're competitive and pull from the service?
They go by what
the
the
district rates.
They go by what?
The district rates they go by.
So if we're still 95 and another school is the 150 and the service gets a phone call, they're going to send somebody over to the 150 and then somebody over to us at our 95 rate. So we're still not competitive. So if somebody gets a choice between the two school districts, they're going to choose the 150 over us, because that's what's happening now.
There's a possibility that could happen. I can't speak for who wants to be a sub and what
Right,
jobs
right.
they want, but that could definitely happen if they're incentivized by the higher paying amount.
Yep. There's two considerations, the rate and the access to more people. That's really what
Right.
it comes down to. And there's no crystal ball to say that if you raise it to 125, that it'll be enough. There's just not. It could work. It could. It could.
I mean, this might be the most silly, obvious question, but have we really gone out as a district to reach out to the retired staff? Because I know where I'm working, there's a lot of teachers who have rallied and come back because, maybe a Dugan teacher who's retired might be feeling nostalgic right now and they're vaccinated and maybe they would come back if we just reached out, even with a phone call.
Well, I don't think we've reached out to retirees, correct?
Retirees are.
They also have to be a certain amount of time. That
No,
they're
I
retired,
know.
They can't work. for a
Oh,
certain
that's
number
true
of
with the
days in
union.
schools.
Yeah, okay, I understand that.
But one of the things that we have done along with advertising through Frontline, we advertise to K-12 JobSpot, which is a very popular platform for hiring educators. We also went as far as reaching out to Indeed.com to see if we can reach out to a different pool, but
Okay.
to this point, we're still having some struggle time to time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So how about we put information together for you to digest? We'll pull together all the rates, everything that we can, fill rates from these places, and then you can make a decision on how you'd like to proceed based upon either rates and or pool.
And Vin, maybe those companies
both.
could give us their fail to fill rates, just so that we have an idea of.
Yeah, and they are starting to email us what the information we get. We're still going back and forth about also service costs. If it's too high, I'm trying to see, what they can actually do for us as far as being competitive. Also, in the meantime, if we're not set on going with a service, we can always explore raising the rates and going with the option of just increasing the rates and trying to keep going in-house and trying to incentivize substitutes that are on the roster already to take the positions.
And if that's the case, then there should be a good marketing strategy to go out and let people know that we're paying X amount now and trying to acquire more people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Thank you for, it'd be good to get all that information together. We're going to move to our first public comments. Those who wish to speak should state their name and address. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Members of the public should be respectful and avoid back and forth and debate with the administrative professional or board member responding to the inquiry or comment. Vin.
Sure. Mrs. Angela Visotsky.
Good evening. I just wanted to give a shout out to Dugan Special Ed. They have put together some circle of friends for the kids in special needs, and I think that's a really good thing to promote social skills deficiencies. And I just wanted to know that, teachers and case managers, they're all understanding that special ed is really highly susceptible to regression. I want to know what the grants and the ESSER funds that we were receiving that's on the agenda, what we're going to be using those for, how that's going to be put into special ed. Also on the agenda, you're talking about adding special ed math and ELA curriculum writing teachers. I want to know more about that and what those will be entailing and how they will be helping our special ed students. And also, I'd just like to know more about what the process is of how parents, like myself, have questions for the BOE and how we can get agenda items put forth to you so we can discuss them at a forum like this. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't get them all. Yeah, so we'll be happy to get you all that information. We'll do it separately through a communication. 3 questions were what grants are available and what are they used for, special ed, math and writing, and then how parents can get concepts to the BOE for discussion.
Thank you. Somebody will get back to you with the answers. Vin.
Okay, next up is Mrs. Seward, Ned Seward, and Matthew Seward.
I'm going to talk about how much time that we have to wear the mask. And the lunch, because sometimes when people don't like the lunch that they're serving, there's another lunch, but once you actually buy lunch, you can't buy another one. So I think that you should actually, if you don't like the first one, then you could probably go get another one and probably return it if you didn't eat any of it. So about the masks, I think for only 30 or 40 minutes we should have recess or lunch, because at one time they said at lunch you gotta eat a little bit quicker, but sometimes I have a big lunch, so I maybe not be able to eat so fast.
one discussion of what Matthew was going to speak about tonight, he is a student with sensory processing disorder, and he is having a very hard time with the lunch foods. There's a lot of soggy food, there's a lot of food that is inedible to him especially, so I think what he's getting at is that the 20 minutes that they're giving during lunchtime is not really so much adequate for someone like Matthew, who takes a little longer to eat his food or doesn't like the food that's being served at school. Great. Is that it? Okay, good job. Thank you.
Good job, buddy. You did a great job. That was great. So here's what I'll say about the lunches. If you ever get something that you truly don't like, you can talk to an adult and we'll be happy to get you something different, okay? So you can tell them Dr. Hibbs said so. They won't argue with you. That's A. As far as the masks go, we all hear you on masks. We're all ready for masks to be a thing of the past, truly, 100%. Time will tell, and hopefully after the new year, you know, there's rumors. So
Yeah.
I can't speak to rumors. I can't speak to their accuracy. So we're hoping for a big change there. All right. So great job. Remember, Dr. Hibbs, new lunch. You got this. I think that a conversation maybe with leadership just about, you know, that concept would be a good call, and that way we can make sure that we're meeting everybody's needs. I couldn't hear you. Good job.
Good job, Matthew. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Mr. Leo Daleman. Oh, sorry. This is Abby Seward. Sorry.
I'm Abby Seward. I live at 18 Nashville Drive, and I just wanted to talk about the fact that we can't have sports in school. The only two options we have are to go outside and play kickball or soccer or anything outside, or if it's too cold, we stay inside and walk around in a circle in the gym for 45 minutes. And I don't think anybody would enjoy that for the 45 minutes that we have as a break. And that's only on the 3 days of our middle school schedule. So I just wanted to bring up the idea of bringing sports back to our schools and having the option, because of the people that I've talked to, they have like gym and everything, like full PE education, and we don't, and I just don't understand why it's not still happening.
Okay. Thank you, Abby. Abby, I'll take this discussion to our next admin meeting and see if we can get some more varied options for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Dovelman, I believe you were next.
You wanted to wait to the next one? Okay. Mrs. Carrie Jankowski.
Hi, Carrie Jankowski, 25 Whitman Road. I would like to show my gratitude to two MTPS district teachers tonight, Mrs. Farabono and Mrs. Stephanie Marion. These two teachers are exceptional because of their dedication and mastery in reaching the atypical learner. Their giftedness lies in their appreciation and recognition of the abilities that lie within the unique, or dare I say, quirky student. They can see the diamond in the rough, and they never give up on them until they shine. I met Mrs. Bono when my son was at Robertsville, and she was teaching the Gifted and Talented program. I knew I was meeting a truly special educator when at her back-to-school night, the room was partially filled with returning students. Students from middle school and high school who have so much respect for Mrs. Bono that they tag along to their younger siblings' back-to-school night just to say hi and fill her in on how they are doing in school. That had such a remarkable effect on me. Mrs. Bono never gives up. She values in learners what others may dismiss. She molds a student's Achilles heel and channels it to become their strength. She pours her heart into her students. Mrs. Marion was my son's 7th grade ELA teacher. I always love a teacher who can deliver the rainbow after a storm. Mrs. Marion completely embraced 100% of my son, his gifts and talents, as well as the rough edges. Her job not made much easier by COVID. Despite COVID and the terrible impact it had on my son's learning, she developed his literacy skills and writing, where it became an outlet for him. I got to know my own child's thoughts and feelings in a completely new way through the writings in her class. Mrs. Marion is the epitome of genuineness. She doesn't show up to work just because she has to. She shows up each and every day for these kids, mine and yours. Although my son is in 8th grade, she still has been a source of support, still encouraging my son's writing. She is not his assigned teacher. You will not find her name on his schedule, but she continues to guide and encourage him. She has been instrumental in helping him prepare for high school. My son often says, "I can't believe Mrs. Marion still helps even though she is not my teacher anymore." Mrs. Marion has helped my child flourish. Thank you, Mrs. Marion and Mrs. Bono, for all that you do and have done. My cup truly runneth over. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to Ms. Marion and Ms. Bono for making such a difference. Thank you to Ms. Marion and Ms. Bono for making such a difference, and thank you for coming up to share that.
Thank you, Carrie. I'll make sure to let Farah and Steph know.
That's everyone on the list.
Great. Do you have any others? Okay, we're going to move on with our agenda. Communications.
No, ma'am.
HIB report.
So for the time period of October 21st, 2021 through November 10th, 2021, there are 4 incidents.
Thank you. Report on on NJDOE school self-assessment under the Anti-Bullying Rights Act.
Okay. So beginning with the September 2011-11-12 school year, our district has conscientiously implemented the requirements found in the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act by establishing, implementing, and assessing our HIB programs. We have also provided training to staff and students on the Board of Education approved HIB policy. Since the implementation of the Act, our district has made progress in addressing and improving harassment, intimidation, and bullying and the school climate and culture by observing the week of respect and providing ongoing age-appropriate instruction on preventing HIB. And you saw a great example of what we do for character education today, which was fantastic from Robertsville, right? Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
So we continue to meet and exceed standards. And in order to promote a positive school climate, we're teaching students social and emotional learning skills by disseminating our mission, vision, and common language for character development. Each building has an SECD committee that collected data on how we currently teach character education and social skills. We've also surveyed parents and guardians about the best ways we can help their children. So during the upcoming year, our district will be working towards strengthening the areas in need of improvement. Anti-bullying specialists serve on the district's SECD team. And this year, all schools will focus on reteaching of our character pillars and guiding questions. And what we had this year last year in 2020 and 2021, we had 16 reported incidents and there were 9 that were confirmed. In 1920 it was actually 19 reported, 6 confirmed. 1819 was 31 reported, 11 confirmed. 1718, 32 reported, 10 confirmed. 1617, 23 reported, 13 confirmed. 1516, 24 and 10. 2014, 15, 20 and 5. 13, 14, 34 and 16. 12, 13, 20 and 8, and 11, 12 all the way back was 51 and 24. And then our scores this year were 77s across the board through the self-assessment. Madam President.
Great, thank you very much. Jill, can you please read financial and business operations matters?
Yes, ma'am. The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, transfers. 2, list of bills. 3, secretary monthly reconciliation reports. 4, harassment, intimidation, bullying, HIB, report. 5, travel. 6, donation. 7, state contract purchase. Winter Ford for purchase of a Ford truck for the 2022 school year. That's pretty cool. 8, acceptance of American Rescue Plan ESSER allocations for the 21-22 school year. 9, American Rescue Plan ESSER. 10, IDA
American Rescue Plan appropriations into accounts. 11, school bus emergency evacuation drill report. 12, home instruction. 13, approval of contract, professional services agreement with Towarski and Millivan Architects LLC. 14, acceptance of safety grant for the 21-22 school year. 15, out-of-district placement for the 21-22 school year. 16, state contract purchases. I so move.
Great. Do I have a second?
Second.
Kathleen, thank you. Do I have any discussion? I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. and Mrs. McGraw for their donation. It was very nice to, honor the nurses and some of their teachers for helping them out during a difficult time. And great job on the safety grant.
Thank you. Just 2 corrections. So number 5, travel. For the first one, staff, Mrs. Miriam Spano, the amount says $675. It should be $695. That'll be changed to $695. And then the last correction, number 14, the acceptance of the safety grant. The first one for $16,444. The last account where it says $600 at the end of the account, it should actually be $420. And those are usually purchased every year to update security cameras with the safety grant.
Great, thank you. Okay, Vin, roll call.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Furlan?
Yes.
Mr. Shiffrinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
Mrs. Strafasi?
Yes.
And Mrs. Wolf?
Yes, thank you. Curriculum matters. Jen, can you please read?
Superintendent of Schools submits the following resolutions for approval. Number 1, approval of NJ CUSAC District Performance Review. Number 2, Interscholastic Athletic Competitions, Winter Sports 2021-2022 school year. I so move.
Great. Do I have a second? Trish, thank you. Any discussion? Thank you to everyone who served on the CUSAC.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot
Thank
of
you.
Information came out of that and goes into that. Thank you. Vin.
Roll call. Mr. Furlan?
Yes.
Mr. Shiffrinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mrs. Strafasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
And Mrs. Wolf?
Yes. Personnel matters. Kathleen, can you please read?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, retirements. 2, resignations. 3, employment certificated staff. 4, employment school aid. 5, employment bus driver. 6, transfer non-certificated staff. 7, extracurricular activities advisor. 8, amended extracurricular activities advisor. 9, curriculum writing special education ELA modification grades 6 through 8. 10, curriculum writing special education ELA modification grades 1 through 5. 11, curriculum writing special education math modification grades 1 through 5. 12, curriculum writing special education math modifications grades 6 through 8. 13, amended curriculum writing special education math Linkit revised items grades 3, 4, and 5. 14, stipend mentor teachers. 15, substitute rates non-certificated position. 16, substitute teacher. 17, substitute nurse. 18, substitute bus drivers. 19, amended resolution leave dates. I so move.
Great, thank you. Do I have a second? Jill, thank you. Any discussion? No, I know, Michael, we have some comments, but we'll do roll call
We
first,
do.
and then we can do the comments.
Roll call. Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Furlan?
Yes.
Mr. Shiffrinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Strafasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
And Mrs. Wolf?
Yes, thank you.
We would like to congratulate Greg Hall on his upcoming retirement. Greg has been with us for the past 12 years and has been working in our Buildings and Grounds Department. Besides cutting, trimming, digging, plowing, snow, fixing equipment, etc., Greg was always ready to lend a helping hand to our maintenance staff and transportation mechanics whenever they needed assistance. He was always full of ideas and had a knack for figuring out how to make things work. We want to express our sincere gratitude for all the work he has done and wish him all the best. We hope you enjoy your retirement. Next comments are for Mrs. Teresa Rago. Teresa Rago has announced her intention to retire from the Marlboro Township Schools effective January 2022. She has dedicated 18 years serving the Asher Holmes Elementary School community as the front office principal secretary. During the past 18 years, Teresa has worked with hundreds of students, parents, and staff members and has left a lasting impression on each one. She's known to staff and parents for her dedication, honesty, and supportive demeanor, and has been described as one half of the mighty front office staff who keeps everything organized and running smoothly. It would be quite impossible to describe everything she does during a typical day. It starts early with substitute coverage and creation of schedules for things like picture day and assemblies, and ends late with staff attendance, balancing budget accounts, ordering necessary supplies, organizing field trips, sending correspondence to the parent community via school messenger, just to name a few. During the summer hours, Mrs. Rago can often be found organizing storage rooms and closets, collecting quotes from vendors, and haggling the best deals, taking inventory and supplies and deliveries, and delivering orders to classrooms, all while answering questions from parents and preparing staff materials for the new school year. While the reality of Teresa's retirement is sinking in, it is almost impossible to imagine the Asher Holmes front office without her expertise and calm approach to tackling projects and solving any and all problems that she encounters. Described as personable, helpful, knowledgeable, and as one of the best party planners around, Teresa will certainly be missed in the front office of Asher. While her time working in Marlboro will come to an end, her imprint on our school and the friendships she has created are timeless. The Asher community wishes her well in this new chapter of her life and hopes that she knows what an asset she has really been to the students, parents, and staff to this grateful community. Good luck and best wishes, Teresa, for a retirement filled with good health, uninterrupted morning coffee, unlimited travel, quality time with family and friends, beautiful evening strolls on the boardwalk, and more smiles and cuddles as soon-to-be grandma this June than you can handle. You deserve all of that and more.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Mr. Hall and Mrs. Rago on their combined 31 years of service to the Marlboro Township. And it sounds like Asher Holmes is going to have big shoes to fill in
Big
that
shoes.
office.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We're going to move on to policy, development, and community relations matters.
Yeah.
You
Oh, sorry.
wanna-
Yeah, just as a quick note, the only thing that's changing in this policy is that we initially had the 14-day quarantine, and one of my incredible nurses pointed out that we moved that to 10. So we just revised it. That's the only change to this.
Trish, can you please read?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolution for approval, one first and second reading of that policy. I so move.
Great, do I have a second? Jill, thank you. Any discussion?
So just 14 days to 10 days? Is
Yeah,
that- that's the only
yeah.
change?
Yep, that's absolutely. When we did this back in the summer, it was 14, and we had group discussions to think that 14 was just
Just wanted to make sure.
just too
Okay,
long.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
Roll call vote. Roll call vote. Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
Mr. Furlan?
Yes.
Mr. Shiffrinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Strafasi?
Yes.
And Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
And Mrs. Wolf.
Yes, thank you. We're going to move on to our liaison reports. Monmouth County School Boards Association.
The meeting is tonight, but I did ask for an agenda because I couldn't make it. That's it. I was going to go on to the next one, sorry.
New Jersey School Boards.
Oh, so, hasn't been one since the workshop, which was amazing, but
It really was.
Thank you to everyone who attended the workshop virtually and the work,
Yeah, it was
the
great.
Yeah.
classes that you went to.
Yeah, it was
Great
really
feedback.
interesting.
they were really good.
And they're still, you can still.
Till December.
Yeah,
Yes,
through
you can still
December
stream
now,
it.
so there's just a ton of information. It was really well done.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm hoping to watch more over Thanksgiving weekend.
And the
Yes.
write-ups were great that you guys did.
Yeah.
Okay. Freehold Regional.
Oh, that's me.
That's you, Jill.
I don't know if everyone heard, but the referendum passed. Thank you. Because if everybody knows, since I've been on this board, I have talked about the referendum every single month, and I'm so excited. Just speaking for myself only, not on behalf of the board, but as a parent, I'm very excited that it passed. So those who voted for it, thank you so much. And Dr. Sampson has been, if you've seen he's been all over social media thanking everyone for passing it. So that is all the news. It passed.
Great, thank you. Thank you for promoting it here and sharing the information with it. Marlboro Township Alliance. Steve, I think there's still nothing?
There's still nothing.
Yeah, Alliance, yeah. I think there's not meeting yet. They're still waiting to fill some big shoes there as well.
Yep.
In regards to the township, COVID testing is the truck is open on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and it is at the swim club parking lot, and it's off of Gordon's Corner Road. If you have the QR code, and info is on the social media and on the website. And this Sunday is the Marlboro Farmers Market Fall Holiday event from 9 to 2. All info is also online and on social media.
At the regular location, Robin?
Yeah.
Yes, the regular
Okay.
location right
That's
across.
great,
Yep.
too.
For holiday stuff.
PTA, PTO liaison.
No meeting since the last time.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just look. And the last one is the Marlboro Educational Foundation, the MEF. The annual grant vote is coming up. Can't wait to see the exciting grants the teachers have applied for.
Absolutely.
So we're looking forward to voting on that, and they're always great things
Thank you
come
for
up there.
all that you do for our teachers and kids.
Thank you. Old business.
I have real quick. I just want to bring up unconscious bias again. I didn't know if we did anything about it. I just thought it was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, you want to take a sec and
Sure.
explain what we're doing or what we've done?
Yes, I know this was brought up at the last meeting as a question, so I did reach out to the member who asked the community member who asked the question, but we do have annual mandated trainings, several of them, and one of them is bias training, affirmative action, not only with our students, interacting with students, but also interacting with the greater school community. It's an annual requirement. I personally chase down everybody every year to make sure they get it done.
Your staff members.
Our staff members.
Yes.
It's something that comes up in CUSAC to make sure we get it done. In addition, we also have a comprehensive equity plan that is applied to our curriculum as well. So we kind of hit it from every angle. So it was a great question, and yes, we are doing it.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. New business. We're going to move to our second public comment section.
I believe Mr. Daleman, you want to speak?
Leo Davelman, 51 Buttonwood Drive. Just real quick before I get started, on the agenda, was there supposed to be a reading of the COVID-19 plan prior to old business, new business?
Reading of the COVID plan? No, it's next month, right? Nick?
A6, it's listed on the page.
The road,
Yeah.
Dr. Hibbs explained that. We just changed the policy. That was the 14.
Oh, there
that's-
was
yeah,
no
that was
reading.
it.
Okay.
Yep, that's right before there, so I think that's what you might be speaking of.
All right, sorry. So Leo Davelman, 51 Buttonwood Drive. Here we go. So love tonight's meeting. I am hoping we will have more meetings like this. Love the fact that so many people are still here tonight. It wasn't just something in the lead up to a fairly contentious election, but people continue to be interested in what's going on in our schools, which is awesome. I don't know whose decision it was for the last 3 or 4 meetings to invite a Marlboro police officer into the room. Don't know whose decision it was to not invite Marlboro police into the room today, but it's kind of nice. The fact that the meeting won't last till midnight is also kind of nice. In general, I think I speak for myself certainly, and on behalf of other parents, we want more of these discussions. We want more of a voice in these discussions. We love hearing you guys ask questions and discuss matters in public that are going to impact our kids. That's what we want to see, and it is great. I think you guys all know what the issue is that is near and dear to my heart. I hope we can get to a point where we're talking about what we want to happen with masks in school as the timeline evolves. There are certain things that don't depend on us, things that our governor may or may not choose to do. There are certain things that don't depend on us, having to do with colder weather, more people coughing, etc. These are things we don't control. There are things that we do control, and that is what we want to happen and what we want to publicly state we want to happen. I think I've been talking about that for a good solid 6 months, that we ought to have a position of how we'd like things to evolve. What level of local control we want, what sort of metrics and guidelines do we want to use when we eventually get that local control. I think all that is an important discussion for you guys to have as a board, for us to have as a community. I also would like to invite you guys to be retrospective and look at last year, especially the end of last year. I think it's fair to say that nobody could have predicted what happened last year, and I think it's fair to say that, you know, there's things you could have done worse, could have done better. Others may have done even worse than we've done, but it doesn't mean that there aren't mistakes that we can learn from and try to improve on. Specifically, I'd love to ask you guys to focus on the mechanisms for transitioning between phases, right? So last year, we were all very happy to get to a better place, but I'm not sure, or at least I haven't heard the retrospective on whether, you know, half days, then Monday, Tuesdays, then, you know, Thursdays, Fridays, without Wednesdays. I'm not sure I've heard the retrospective on whether that was in fact an effective transition. I'm not sure I know whether 4-week increments provided any additional data that was usable versus 2-week increments or 1-week increments. I'd love for you guys to delve into that as you develop a plan for how we merge from this towards a more normal learning environment for our children, so that we're not experimenting with it on the fly, so that you do have a chance to get some community input on it. And in general, this is great. I'm kind of looking forward to the December meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, do I have a motion to close the?
Oh, there's somebody else.
Do I have, oh, sorry, anyone else?
Good evening, Craig Marshall, Pollock Drive in Marlboro. The only thing I wanted to say is I'd like to express my sincere congratulations to all of the new incoming Board of Ed members. And while I say that, I will say that my own personal sentiment is that it's very sad that somebody from the administration didn't do that. But anyway, I think it was a great election. I think it showed that there are a lot of people who are concerned about what's going on. They don't like the direction that is currently underway. And again, my sincere congratulations to all those who ran, and especially and also to all those who won. Thank you.
Thank you. Vin, can you just say that you haven't gotten contact?
Yeah, so just to comment, I have been in contact with some of the members who have unofficially won. I will be making an announcement once we receive the official transcript from the township signed off and the official election results, and then I make an announcement
And that's how it's
for
done.
the new candidates.
It's done like that every year.
I was going to say, I think we've always done it that way, haven't we? Well, I mean, not always. I've been here a couple of years, but.
Correct.
I think I waited like 2-3 weeks.
Correct.
It was I waited
Correct.
a long
So
time
thank you.
last year. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nancy Georgie, and I live in Morganville. And I'm here to ask a couple of questions about Scholastic. the book fair and the book that provide books for the kids, because it just happened this week. My daughter in 5th grade, she has a book with a very famous series that I see in everywhere, with inappropriate material in it, and it's not suitable for that age. So I wonder if before giving out these books to the kids and have it in the public library, in the school library, does anybody get to review it? And also, with the scholastic events, does anybody in the school principal who's responsible for approving the scholastic guest that comes to the school? Because it happened that they invited an author and his books were banned from the library, the American Association Library, because the content is against the family values, and he was invited and greeted. Actually, it did not happen in all Marlboro schools. It happened in one of elementary schools. So if it's not, it looks like it's different between one school and another. The other thing, brochures that were sent home from Scholastic, and they have some political materials. Does anybody get to review them before hand out to the kids? And to what extent? Is it just for information, which is I don't mind, but it looks like clearly when you read the brochure that it's directed in one direction. The other thing is that's when for elementary, and we move on to middle school. The family life curriculum for 8th grade. Does anybody look at the lesson plans, what exactly is going to be said in the classroom? Also, why this should be shared with the parents ahead of time. And I want to give an example. In elementary school, when you're just going to talk about puberty, you bring the nurse, which should be a professional, just to take about a very simple scientific topic, puberty, and you separate boys and girls. While in middle school, when the family life curriculum touch on so many private and unessential material, and it's up to the teacher to see fit what's gonna be on the lesson plan. Does anybody take a look at this? And it should be shared with the parents ahead of time to be discussed in the family. And I see, according to the family life curriculum, that it's vague and it's need a lot of clarification for the parents before they agree to send their kids to this class or opt out. Thank you. Have a good day.
So as far as the books go, without understanding what that is, it's really hard for me to speak on that. So I think for that, and then also for the concept of lesson plans, principals definitely do review lesson plans. The curriculum is all online. It's not feasible for us. It's not feasible for us to send lesson plans home to parents. That's not something. It's just not something that we can do. But the curriculum is all online. So in both of those instances, please do me a favor. Reach out to your building principal, and then they can address the concept of the book and what that was, and then the pamphlet, which I honestly. I have not seen that pamphlet, but we can address that, and then we can also address the other concerns that you have. Your building principal is the person to go to.
Thank you.
Good evening. Val Mendez, Sandberg Drive. First, I want to thank you guys for actually looking into strategy to retain and attract talent. I know I brought that up a while back. I know you were considering how you're going to do that. The market is hot, so we know that people are going to places where they're going to be paid more, so I want to thank you for that. On that note, though, I do want to ask the question of how you intend to onboard these teachers to make sure that they're all meeting the expectations of the Marlboro School District. I did see that in the agenda you did have mentors for these teachers, which I'm assuming give them some sort of onboarding during their new hire phase. I asked that question because I have a son who actually goes to school here. He has an IEP. The teachers here are all fantastic, but it seems that it's not, they're all taking kind of a one-size-fits-all approach, some of them anyway, when it comes to, you know, my son or whomever with an IEP. I recently had an issue where she was trying her best to help him. He's in middle school, and I think she was just a little too much, making him doubt himself, making him feel insecure. And if you know anybody with ADHD, dyslexia, and different issues, they already have low self-esteem and self-worth, which I address with him and, counseling and so forth. So it made him feel even worse. I had a great conversation with the teacher. She was open to making changes, but it seemed that she needed some guidance on how to treat a child in middle school as opposed to somebody in elementary. So I asked that question when we have an onslaught of teachers that will be coming on or substitutes, how they will be trained so that they're meeting that expectation and they understand the needs, of every student and treating them as individuals as opposed to just they have an IEP. I also say that because I've had to numerously reach out on numerous occasions to my son's teachers to remind some of them that he has an IEP, and those standards have to be met of extra time or, things like that. And so I know that they have training, but I think that needs to be addressed, how they treat students with IEPs. On a side note, I do want to just give 2 shout outs. Dr. Baskine, who was my son's counselor last year, was absolutely fantastic. He was struggling with his self-worth because of the issues he was encountering, and she was there every step of the way for him. I also want to shout out Mr. Osborne. He was Jonathan's social studies teacher, and he really went above and beyond, calling me, messaging me, and really helping my son. So I want to thank him as well for the work he's done. I know I emailed you about him as well.
1 minute, Mrs. Mende.
But I just want to thank you all for that. So I really kindly ask that you look into the training for the teachers to make sure that they're meeting the expectations of all of our students.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Happy to do that. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I got that all. Happy to look into that piece. I'm actually gonna have someone contact you on that piece to make sure that we know everything that we need to know. And thank you for your kind words about Dr. Baskin and Mr. Osborne, who are both fabulous human beings.
Thank you. Seeing nobody else coming up for public comment, do I have a motion to dismiss? Thank you. Jen, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Nope. Thank you, and thank you everyone for coming out. Have a great evening.
Happy Thanksgiving.